We are pleased to be joined by the head coach of Syracuse men's lacrosse, Gary Gait. Gary, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Coach Gait, Johns Hopkins, Syracuse, you don't have to really say anymore when you talk about the matchup, but I want to know a memory for you that sticks out in your playing days of playing them.
You know what? The first thing I can think of is most people might think it was a national championship game in '89, but it was actually the first game of the year in '89 when we lost to Johns Hopkins by a goal at Hopkins. The game was supposed to be played at Syracuse in the Dome, but we got bumped for a concert. So we ended up, it was, who was it? Bon Jovi, I think. Maybe.
That's a little better, I guess.
Yeah. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Looking at how you guys handled the Utah game, a bounce back win, 15-5. You jump out on them 11-1. How good of a bounce back was that for the guys to jump on them quickly the way you did and kind of it never be in doubt?
Well, we've been kind of doing that every game. You know, we've started games very well this year. You know, our struggles really have come in the third quarter, so we're looking to address that. And you know, but we did have the game in control, and I think the defense, our goalie bounced back. You know, they finished the game, did what we needed to do, but set definitely room for improvement.
You talk about the goalie play and Jimmy McCool, and he was, you know, pulled in the Harvard game and bounces back, and I thought he looked very good against Utah. Like, how difficult the conversations that you have with him, knowing that, you know, it's not going to be perfect, and what you saw out of him kind of was that bounce back game. Can you talk about the discussions that you have with him here early on?
You basically, you know, you got it still. You're still our starter. You know, had confidence in you. You know, obviously Nick Akaviva's our goalie coach, and he's been working with him directly and making sure that he showed up and was ready to play, and he was. So, I think, you know, maybe the Harvard game was a little different for him, being from the Boston area. I think he just had a little bit of extra pressure he put on himself, and it didn't go the way he wanted it to.
There's always pressure when you step out on the field. You know it as an SU lacrosse player. And, you know, the way that you guys jumped out to a great start and then you dropped those two games. Like, what was it like after those two losses to Maryland and Harvard? And have you seen kind of a mind shift, so to say, with this team, or is it still early to tell, Coach?
Well, it's obviously, you know, it's never great after a loss. You do a lot of soul searching and reevaluating of game plans and you know, look at the execution from the players as coaches. What can we do different to put them in a better position to have success? So it's a good exercise for that, just to reevaluate and double check what you're doing if you think you're doing it the right way. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the players to make plays, but we got to do our best to put them in a good position.
You've been forced to kind of shuffle your lineup a little bit on the offensive side of things. Like, how has that kind of changed the dynamic of what you've wanted to do with the injuries and stuff that have popped up?
Well, I think that happens. You gotta be prepared, and you know, we have the depth chart, and we have the next guy up. So, you know, that's the game. You know, it's not very often you go through an entire year with everybody healthy, and you got to be ready to make adjustments, and the teams that do it well usually have success. So I'm pretty happy with the guys that have stepped in. Wyatt Hoddle stepped in on the second line midfield, and I think he's been doing a great job for us. Started off the scoring for us against Utah.
All the talk, obviously, is about the offensive firepower that you have with, you know, Owen Hiltz, Joey Spallina, Michael Leo. Like, we can go down the line. But defensively, at the beginning of the year, you know, you first team in a while to hold teams under 7 goals in those first 3 games. Then you got back to it. Like, what have you seen that you like out of this defensive unit when it is rolling?
When they roll, they do what they did to Utah, right? And Utah, that's the least number of goals they scored in 36 games, I believe. So that's pretty good. They can get the job done when they play as a group, as a unit. Goaltending solid. They've been playing very well, and it's a solid defense. Like Coach O has done a great job to get them on the same page. I would say besides the Harvard game, they've been pretty darn good.
Let's look at Johns Hopkins, a little bit of a team that's 5-1. Could easily be undefeated. A 1-goal loss to North Carolina. Picked up a 1-goal win against Virginia. A very explosive Hopkins team. Is that what you see? And do you expect a game that's we got to find a way to shut them down on Sunday?
Yeah, I think their style. They're a little bit. They take long possessions and they put themselves in those close games, and they're very good, and we have to execute at a high level. They've been tested. They've been in those tight games, and we've only had one of them. We came up on the short end, and we're certainly trying to prepare our team for a tight game, and if we get in that situation, how to end it in a positive manner. So it's definitely going to be a challenge ahead of us.
Gary, we had Tim on yesterday, and he talked about last year's game against Johns Hopkins, how kind of that was a point of the season to kind of vault you of knowing, okay, we're in these close games and we can win them. Like how important is this game? I know every game is important. I get that. But how important is this game to know that we're that team, and we're that team that we thought we were at the beginning of the year by getting a win over Johns Hopkins?
Well, I think that goes a long way to helping us reach our goals, for the season. But we've kind of tried to shut down the noise and focus on the day-to-day expectations of having a great practice every single day, one game at a time mentality. I think the kids being around the media a lot, everybody talking about Final Fours and national championships, and sometimes you can lose your focus of what's right in front of you. And I think we've gone back to focusing on what's right in front of us, and that's Johns Hopkins.
Do you think more along the lines of, I'm not blaming one way or the other, like, is it them putting too much expectations on themselves, or like how do you look at that? Like you played at Syracuse, you know what the expectation is when you put a Syracuse jersey on. Like, how do you put those expectations in a bag, so to say?
Well, we have a group of players that were recruited here, and they've kind of said we want to bring this program back. And I think, and then you got the media asking the question, are you guys back? Are you a Final Four championship caliber team? And it gets them, I think it distracts from the focus of, I need to have a great practice today, tomorrow, and then I need to focus on our next opponent. And I think, I've just tried to, like I said, quiet the noise around them and get them to buy into what we talk about as coaches all the time. It's just that, with all this other stuff being out there, they can get distracted from what we're saying. So we're just trying to narrow the focus for them.
Coach, best of luck against Johns Hopkins. Look forward to watching the game on Sunday. Thanks for your time, as always.
All right. Thank you, guys. I hope people come out and watch a great game. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
All right, there's Gary Gait, coach of the Syracuse Orange. We got a whole nother hour of show to do, Mario.
Oh, we do? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Isn't that great?
Well, you played some Evanescence songs that I